Yo, what's good YouTube? Welcome to another tutorial on Dreams, and in today's video I'm going to show you guys how to make a Five Nights at Freddy's type horror game on Dreams. So as you guys can see, I'm looking around, I interact with the button and it closes the door. I'm looking around. Oh, I see the bad guy. I close the door. He disappears. We can open back up. Oh, okay, so he's here again, but I don't see him. I'm not paying attention. And then he attacks me. You get the jump scare. So I'm basically going to show you guys how I created this. So yeah, so this is just the basic version. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to make a full Five Nights at Freddy's video game. I'm going to do a full course on that. So if you guys want to learn how to make a Five Nights at Freddy games and stuff like that, make sure you guys check out the course. I'm going to create a course soon for that. But yeah, this is basically the basics. I forgot to add the camera, but I could actually add it while we're doing the tutorial. So we're gonna add the camera last. So this is basically what I did. So for the animatronics, basically what I did was I added a randomizer, and this basically is how long it takes for the animatronic to reappear. So as you guys can see, here's the back, all the way in the back, the kitchen, the arcade, and the middle. So I'm going to show you guys what that is. So as you guys can see, also if you guys didn't know, you can add a bookmark. That's basically what I did to make this game. I'm going to put the light on because it's kind of dark. But yeah, so basically what I did was I added a keyframe to each puppet. So all these puppets are actually invisible, except that one apparently. Wait, hold on. Yeah, so except that one, I gotta fix that. Oh, that's because the keyframe is on that puppet, duh. But yeah, so all the puppets are invisible. See, like if you click on invisibility, they're invisible. And so yeah, that's basically what I did. Okay. Even the jump scare was invisible. But yeah, so as you guys can see, this is each keyframe. So each keyframes turn these guys on. So just so you guys can see, like I label the middle. This no, that's not him. He's the door. So I have him here labeled door because he's at the door. And as you guys can see, that keyframe turns this puppet on. So that's basically how I made them teleport, pretty much. That's how they teleport. So I could label this selector teleportation. And then basically this is the timer. So as you guys can see, the timer is going on. And then he teleports here. Then he teleports. Then the arcade is going to teleport. And then he disappears, and now he's at the door. Now he's here. And then we get the jump scare. That's what the timeline is. That jump scare right there. So yeah, so that was pretty much easy making the animatronics. Literally all they do is just teleport. So what I did was I added a timeline. So the timeline was this guy at the door. This is where if you don't close the door, you're gonna get that jump scare. So that's why I added these two keyframes in the timeline. So as you guys can see, I labeled my keyframe right here, jump scare, which is him right here. And this is the turn off time. I'm gonna get into that later. And this is basically the camera. So as you guys can see, like once it gets here, you get that camera jump scare. And I added a camera shake, so the camera starts to shake when you get that jump scare. And what I could also add in the bottom is like a sound effect. So there's no sound effect, but I can add like a jump scare sound effect right here under this timeline. So this is the door logic. So pretty much all I did was just grabbed a square and just painted it red. I added this microchip. And then I added an AND gate. So when you press R2 and when you interact with the cursor, which is this cursor right here, as you guys can see, and you see when it hits the highlight, it turns white. And then when you click R2, it closes the door, but the door won't close unless you highlight on here. So that's what the AND gate is for. And I added a signal manipulator. This is what allows the door to close, open, and off, so that way when you click on it instead of holding it. And that's basically what this keyframe is. Like the keyframe is to close the door, and this keyframe is to highlight this button white when you highlight over it with the cursor. As you guys can see, I labeled it cursor. And yeah, and that's for the button. I didn't add any logic for this side. Like, it's not even finished. That's why you can't close the door on this side, but you can close the door on this side. So for the cursor, what I did for the cursor was I grabbed a controller sensor and then I put it on remote controllable. And then what I did was I connected it to a splitter. So I got the right stick, connected it to the splitter, the left and right joystick, and then I grabbed a timer and I put it on speed. And then I grabbed the timeline, and I basically, what I did was, you see this box right here, this square box. This square box is connected to a camera. So all I did was added a camera to it. And I also have an advanced mover, which I don't even think I need this. I'm gonna delete that and see. But all I did was added a camera here. And as you can see, I placed the camera right directly inside this cube right here. And then I grabbed the keyframe and I basically just highlighted this like that. And then for this one, I just turned my camera to the left. So you want to grab this keyframe, turn it to the left. So the first one is going to be the left side. The middle one is going to be facing forward. And then the right side is obviously going to be facing the right side. So that's basically what I did for that. And then I grabbed this timer, and then the timer output, I placed it inside the timeline at the bottom right here. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you place it in the middle. So as you guys can see where it says timer output, if I move this, well, it won't let me. Hold on, I'm gonna show you guys. It's if I move this, it's gonna be at 25%. It's gonna stay there. That's because of this. So this determines where your camera is gonna look at. So as you guys can see, the lower I make it, like if I put it down here, it's gonna face towards the left. If I place it all the way at the top, it's gonna face all the way to the right. So that's why we want it to be in the middle at 50%, so it's facing forward. And so that's basically how I got it to look left and right. And also, if you want to change the sensitivity, that's what the timer on up the top right is at the top is for. So put it back to 50%, and then for here's for an example, I think the higher it is, the slower it is. And you want to, when you do that, as you can see, it's at 4%. So we want to change that and put it back to 50% right here. So this is, yeah, so this is slow. So the higher it is, the slower it is. So as you guys can see, it is extremely slow. So yeah, that's basically how you get the move around. So, and then for the cursor, I added a whole different cube. So I added a whole different cube, and then basically I grabbed this logic. So this logic isn't difficult at all either. So basically what I did was I grabbed the cursor. I grabbed the cube and then I went here, and instead of remote controllable, you want to label this as follow imp. So that way when our imp moves around, the cursor will move around. And I basically added a tag and I labeled it a cursor. And then what I did to get the cursor was all I did was added a period. Just like that. So as you can see, here's two cursors. But yeah. So that's all I did. I just added a period for the cursor and I just made it white. You can make it whatever color you want. Like if you wanted it to be red, you could do red. And as you can see, my cursor is red. So that's pretty cool. So you could make the cursor whatever you want. So and you can make it whatever size you want too. Like for an example, if I was to make this box bigger, as you guys can see, the cursor will also be bigger. So that's pretty much how I made the cursor. Pretty much easy. And what I also did was I added a R2. I'm gonna explain what that is later. Actually, I can explain it now. So that's pretty much how you interact with the button. So what I did was I did it on this one. So for the cursor, I plugged up my R2 into this transmitter. And so basically what this does is anytime I click R2, it triggers this transmitter, and then the wireless transmitter will receive that message. So as you guys can see, it's labeled the same. So R2. So anytime I click R2, it should highlight. But I think it's not. Oh, I gotta put it on play mode. Oh, I got jump scared. But as you guys see, I'm gonna click R2, and you see it's being triggered. So that's pretty much what that does. And that's what that AND gate is for. We go back into the AND gate. So when I'm pressing R2 and this cursor, which I labeled, I grabbed the detect tag. So it's detecting this tag right here. And I added a trigger zone. So whenever this trigger zone enters here, then this it will turn white. So that's what that does. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I covered everything. Oh, I didn't get into the jump scare. Okay, so back into the animatronic logic, which is right here. So remember, this is the teleportation, and for the end, it's different. We want to add a timeline for the end. Now, this will determine whether you get jump scared or not. So the objective is, once we close the door, we want this puppet to disappear, this animatronic to disappear. So this is what this logic is. So I added another AND gate, and basically what this means is, once this output, so we plugged in the final output, which is connected to the timeline and to this transmitter. And then, so basically what this means is that once E triggers this, once it reaches the final output, this will be triggered, which will trigger this, which will trigger one of the parts for the AND gate. And then I also clicked on this. So this means that this logic is when the door closes right here. So basically what this means is, once the door is closed and it's at the final output, which this guy is at the door, then that means this timer will go off, and after 2.5 seconds, he will disappear. So that's what that pretty much means. He'll disappear, and it will move on to the next output, which is right here. And it'll go back to him being all the way back there. So that's pretty much what that does. I'm going to release this public on Dreams. So if you guys want to take a look at it yourself, you can. I'm going to release this public on Dreams. And I still didn't cover the jump scares. So, basically, all right. So once this AND gate is triggered, it will also pause the timeline. So it will pause the timeline. And the reason why we want to pause the timeline is because this timeline is going to keep going. And if this timeline keeps going, then it's going to trigger the jump scare. But if we close the door, like for an example, if we close the door, we want this to stop. Because if this doesn't stop, you're going to get that jump scare. So that's pretty much what that does. So once the door is closed and we click R2, then this will be paused, and it will close that timeline. And then once he disappears, it will go on to back to the first output. And not only that, but it will also restart the timer. So since we have it on sustain, also you want to keep it on sustain. Because if you put it on play once, then it's going to continue even when it turns off. But like I said, I'm going to release this public on Dreams. So if you guys want to have a look, take a look at it. I'm going to do a full course on how to make a full Five Nights at Freddy games. I'm going to turn that to a whole series. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you guys are new. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys learned something new. And yeah, this was just the basics. I said I was gonna get it to the camera, but you know what? I'll just do that once we get into the Five Nights at Freddy's series. So, but yeah, that's gonna be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.